In this video, we'll be looking into 2025 IJMB Biology Practical Specimen with some likely or possible questions based on this specimen. So this is the part B video. I've made a part A video, and in my part A video, I explained based on this specimen BCD, that is this first category. I also explained based on this specimen FGH, that is the second category. While in this video, I'll be explaining the third category and likewise the fourth category, that is specimen I and J for third category, and also specimen KLM. So for the fourth category, with some possible questions that they may ask you. These are not live questions, these are just possible things that they may actually ask you in exam. So take it as a practice question. So now let's move to the third category, which is this. So the third category, as you can see it, that is the high part is flower of a pea, and the J is a male cone of a pinus inflorescence. So that is what my third category entails. Now let's look at the possible questions that they actually ask you from this third category. So from this third category, the actually answer that is can say if you study specimen I and J. So study it, look at it very well. That's the flower of a pea, and then a male cones of pinus inflorescence. So first question is that they may ask you to state the type of reproduction in specimen I and J. So the type of reproduction in what? In specimen I and what? And J. So for I, let me name it, okay, let me say this is 3A, because this is my third category. So let me say this is 3A. For specimen I, the type of reproduction, this one is sexual reproduction. And then for what about J? J is also sexual reproduction. Okay, so another thing they can ask you is that they can ask you to mention the floral part in specimen I and their function. You understand? I think you just mention the floral parts in specimen I and their function. So let me give that 3B. So if they ask you to mention that, then the floral part in specimen I, that will be the sepal. And what is it used for? You know, aside and their function, the sepal is used for protection. Then the petals, what does the petal use for? It's used to attract pollinators. Pollinators. And what about the stamen? The stamen is used to is a male organ. Yeah, stamen is a male organ, so that it comprises of the anther and then the filaments. Yeah. So that's the male organ. So it comprises of the anther and the filaments. So that's that. And then another one is the carpel. The carpel. Well, now that carpel is a female organ. And what does it comprises? It comprises of the stigma, the style, and the ovary. So that's it. And the ovary. So well, another question they can still ask you based on these two specimens I and J here is that well, they can ask you to draw. You understand? Let me say 3C. They can ask you to draw specimen J, and they can ask you to label maybe 4 parts. You understand? So you're drawing, they can say you should draw using 10 to 12 centimeter. So please take notes. Go and learn the drawing. So go and learn the drawing. So learn the drawing. Take your time to learn drawing. And then you are going to label too. Remember that you're going to label. But they can ask you to label all the parts. or probably they say you should label only 4 parts. It depends. So let me leave that, learn that yourself. Another thing they may actually ask you is they can say you should state maybe 2 or 1 significance of specimen J in gymnosperm reproduction. So they can ask to state maybe 2 or 1 or 3, I don't know, 2 or 1 significance of specimen J in what? In gymnosperm reproduction. So let me say that one is 3D. So if they ask you, that, what will you say? They can say one of the significance is that it produces pollen, for fertilizer. It produces pollen for fertilizer in gymnosperm. So that's just the basic thing. You understand? Well, for this third category, this is what I have for you. So let me look at the fourth category. Now have a look at the specimen in the fourth category. So the specimen in the fourth category, there is water lily, the water lettuce, the cactus, and the, or you call it opuntia. Now for that particular fourth category, I'm referring to this. So the possible things or possible questions they can ask you. Before that, please take note of this. This is also part of what you should know. The student should be provided with dissecting kits and board. So and hand lens or magnificent or magnifying glass. Sorry, take note of that. Okay. So for the fourth category, let me name that number 4A. So for the fourth category, the possible things they can ask you that, okay, first they will ask you to study first. So they told to study specimen K, specimen L, and specimen M. Okay, so after the study, then they can ask you to state the habitat of each specimen. So the habitat of each specimen, where they live, where they are found. So for K is aquatic habitat, that is fresh water. What about L? L is also aquatic. And then what about N? Specimen N down is xerophyte or xerophytic. Yeah, and that's desert. So that's xerophytic. Okay. Another thing they can ask you is, let me name that 4B. Another thing they can ask you for this fourth category that you can say you should identify 2 structural adaptation of each specimen to its habitat. So 2 structural adaptation of each specimen to its habitat. Now, what are the adaptation of this specimen for K? Yeah, to its habitat. For K now, K has flat leaves for flotation. So for K has flat leaves for what? For flotation. And then it also have airspace or airspaces. So that's it. What about L? L has a floating leaves. For L, it has floating leaves, and it also have fibrous roots. Now, what about M? M has spine to reduce water loss. It has spine to reduce water loss. And what again? It also have a thick fleshy stem. Yeah. So it also has a thick fleshy stem. Okay. Another thing they can still ask from this category 4 is that they can say you should state two differences between aquatic and xerophytic plants. Yeah. So two differences between that, between the aquatic and the xerophytic plant. That means plant that's germinated in the desert. Okay, so if you are asked that just two differences, so what is that going to be? Let's tabulate. Let me name that 4C. 4C. So what is that going to be? For the aquatic plant, let me tabulate that. And let me give you aquatic plant. And then let me give you xerophytic plant. So for this particular one, and this one, it lives in water or very moist area. So lives in water or be a very moist place, very moist areas. Then what about this one? This one lives in dry, arid, or maybe desert region. Okay, another difference between them is that this one has broad, even soft, and this one is broad, is soft, and often floating. Yeah. So the 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 leaf is very broad, it's soft, and then even it's sometimes floating. But this one, the leaves is small leaves, and then they are always thick, and then they reduce to spine. And looking at it, another one is that in terms of water conservation, you know, this one, no special adaptation needed to conserve water for this aquatic, because that one is inside water already. So no special adaptation needed for water conservation. But this one, there's special structure to store water. Do you get? Because this one is in desert, so there's special structures to store water. Another one is okay. This one, okay. Let's say in terms of presence of airspace. Understand? This one, in terms of that, this one will have a large. It will have a large airspace or airspaces. Why this one you have maybe rare or absence of airspace. So that's that about that. Okay, so let's look at another possible things they can ask you based on these three specimens we have here, K, L, and M. They can ask you to state two uses of specimen M in human life. So two uses of specimen M in human life. So let me name that. Let me just put it here. Let me write it as 4D. Sorry, I want to manage this paper. So 4D. So the use is that it is source of water in desert. So source of water in desert. How does my M? And then another one is that it is an ornamental plant. Yeah, it is an ornamental plant. Okay, so that is all I have for you. Take your time to just study this, add it up to whatever you are reading. Yeah, just take it and add it up to whatever you are reading for your upcoming IJMB exam and share this video. I wish you best of luck in your exam. By God's grace, your result is going to be excellent. After writing this your exam, both your other science subjects too, and those who are in heart, I wish you guys best of luck in your exam. Please don't forget to share this video, give us a like thumb and give us a nice comment. These are just likely or possible questions. Some might come out of this, why some might not, but it's just for you to add it up to whatever you are reading for your upcoming IJMB exam. Thank you so much and I wish you best of luck. Bye.